Hi, I'm here about the Igor Wanted ad. My name's Igor. Well, of course it is. I've got a hunch on my back. What's my name gonna be? Kevin?
We're in the midst of October, which is pretty much spooky season for a lot of people, myself included. People are putting up Halloween decorations, trying out new costumes, buying tons of Halloween candy for trick-or-treaters, getting ready for a banger Halloween party, or if you're like me, you're most likely going to be playing a lot of horror games or watching tons of Halloween movies, which is a great pastime and definitely not an excuse for why I'm constantly lonely and have no one to hang out with in these unprecedented times. So yeah, Halloween movies. I think the season is just booming with classic Halloween movies year after year. You have the ever-goated Ghostbusters franchise, Scream with Ghostface, Casper the Mother-f***ing Ghost, I can go on and on. And hey, for all you animation fans out there, there's plenty of films to choose from too. From the ever-classic Nightmare Before Christmas, to Leica's Paranorman and Coraline, to the recent House movie, and also this Winnie the Pooh Heffalump movie. I heard Eeyore dies in this film.
Let us embrace death together!
Now I can go ahead and just pick any one of these iconic films. Like, Tim Burton's whole aesthetic is all over these movies. But, you know me, I like to try and find those films that got lost in the sauce and shine a light to showcase what they have to offer, whether good or bad. Like, for example, a lot of you probably haven't heard of this movie called The Halloween Tree, where these kids try to find their missing friend on Halloween. Or I could even go back to one of Disney's more underrated films, Ichabod and Mr. Toad, especially the Ichabod story with the Sleepy Hollow character. Heck, throw an Open Season Scared Silly on the list.
Come on, Scaredy Bear!
Nah, I take that back, that film is trash. No, instead, I will be looking at a film made by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. You know, that one lion logo, who actually does make their own animated movies. What a shock. Now, MGM is no stranger to the movie industry, but name one film of theirs that has been in animated format. Nope, you can't think of one. All these films I'm showing you, you've probably never heard of, or you had a distinct thought of like, yeah, that was a thing. Yes, Addams Family, you belong in this category. Now for this video, I'm actually going to look at one of their newer releases. I'll admit, being in 2008, they've been slacking a little, and showcasing the spooks and spanks of what makes this movie fit for the Halloween season. And I might actually need a special guest to help me introduce this movie. Hey, Tyler the Creator, you got a sec?
Hey!
You sexy dog.
Our third time together
Yes.
at Neptune Records.
Yes.
And check out Neptune.
Yes.
Igor on vinyl.
Good shit.
Oh boy, I'm feeling it now.
Sorry, master. I was in the bathroom. Had a bat stuck in the belfry, if you know what I mean, master.
Alright, so you might be thinking, Igor, what's that? And that, precisely, is the point of this video. Not only is this the title to probably Tyler the Creator's best album in my humble opinion, don't question me on that, but it's also the title of a film back in 2008 around the Halloween season, and by that, I mean in mid-September. Released in a bustling year for animation, Igor seems to have been swallowed by the sands of time, forgotten by many. But I'm here to argue that this quirky, darkly comedic film is not only a forgotten gem, but also an incredibly underrated entry in the animation medium for horror. Do I think it's perfect? Well, no, there's tons of flaws to it, which we will get to, but I'm surprised with how little it's talked about compared to other films like Coraline and The Corpse Bride. I mean, Igor does have that Tim Burton aesthetic, even if Burton had nothing to do with this film. In fact, let's go back to 2008 for a sec. A powerhouse year for animation. You have the heartwarming brilliance of WALL-E, the martial arts comedy of Kung Fu Panda, and the vibrant adventure of Madagascar Escape to Africa. Heck, even the more independent films like Waltz with Bashir have gotten a cult following the previous years. In such a competitive landscape, it's perhaps understandable that a film like Igor, with its unique tone and less conventional marketing, struggled to find its footing. It didn't have the Pixar pedigree, the DreamWorks marketing machine, or the established franchise recognition. It was an original story, which, while often a strength, can also be a challenge challenge for an independent animated feature. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. What is Igor? The movie, that is, not the Hunchback stock character. Set in the kingdom of malaria, Igor pursues to be more than a lab assistant and tries to become a mad scientist, creating life in the form of a sweet-hearted character named Eva. Okay, so this film already presents itself with a refreshingly original premise. Igors are usually seen as punching bags or mere clueless characters in these scenarios, so seeing an Igor ready to break the mold is a nice change of pace. But while the idea is a fun concept, how well is it executed?
Years ago, malaria was a sunny land of farmers, until the mysterious storm clouds rolled in and never left.
Okay, so the town of Malaria has undergone this huge dark storm cloud, leaving the residents almost losing their financial stability until their mayor decides to come up with this weird idea of having the most insane people in Malaria create evil science experiments to blackmail the rest of the world in order to snatch their money in exchange to not releasing these experiments. Well, I'm sure there's other ways of getting out of poverty, but I guess this works too. So, because of this, Malaria has now been run by some of the most diabolical evil scientists in the world, leaving the town to be dark and sinister. Probably still less sinister than living in an ice-infested city, but what do I know? With this, these evil scientists provide the assistance of Igors, who are the lowest of the working class. In fact, just listen to what Igors do in college.
Igor School. I majored in talking with the slur and graduated with the S-Master's degree.
So, our main Igor doesn't want to fit the stereotype, and actually wants to make his own inventions. But since he's an Igor, he has to hide his talents or else he will be thrown into this weird chute called the Igor recycling plant. Well, I don't know what they recycled there, but this is pretty much murder for Igors. You can tell Igor is a lot smarter than his master Glickenstein, correcting him about what battery to use, and has already made two somewhat successful creations in the form of Scamper and Brain. Two pretty good comedic relief characters, especially Scamper.
Good evening, friends.
The film immediately establishes a distinct, somewhat morbid charm. Our protagonist Igor has an ambition that isn't really trying to create destruction, but to invent something generally good, despite the societal expectation for villainy. The reversal of traditional roles and the satirical take on the evil genius trope are incredibly smart and provide a rich backdrop for both comedy and character development, though I will admit the whole plot surrounding the vibe and atmosphere of Malaria is very confusing, and trust me, we'll get to how that's resolved. But so far, the characters are somewhat likable. Igor is a protagonist you want to root for exceeding in his inventions. His master Dr. Glickenstein is a perfect man baby who can't get his inventions to work. Scamper definitely fits that deadpan snarker trope that I just love, easily my favorite.
Brain. You want to be trapped in an endless existential nightmare, forced to keep living even though life is meaningless and nothing matters?
Possibly. What exactly did you say?
Brain is a little annoying, but he has his moments.
I'm gonna unleash my winning invention on the king's smug little face.
But onto the big baddie, we got Dr. Schadenfreude, a very popular scientist who happens to be a fraud by stealing other scientists' inventions and making them his own and winning several awards in the process. He's got that Elton John charm to him in his design that works for a little bit, but man does this guy also look like an abuser.
You know, she may seem like a shallow, conniving wretch. That's all I got. That pretty much sums her up.
He definitely treats his girlfriend with disrespect, just as much as she returns the favor, but in a flirtatious way. So basically, this is a worse version of Joker and Harley Quinn.
Respect isn't gonna keep me in baby seal boots.
Well, dang, Joker would never do that for Harley. Now Schadenfreude decides to plan to overtake the mayor of Malaria and serve as king because of his popularity, and his girlfriend, Jacqueline, shapeshifts into a different woman to steal the other scientist's plans. So yeah, their next victim is Glickenstein. Or was Glickenstein? Yeah, this guy's dead, no doubt about it. But Igor now finally gets his chance to enter the science fair with his own creation of life, which he lies to the king, because you know, Igors can't really do anything in this world. So, with the help of his companions, Igor manages to assemble the monster until it escapes, which leads to probably the darkest joke in the entire movie.
Oh God, she's killing blind orphans. That's so evil. I mean, which is great, but blind orphans?
Hey, stop!
Jeez, man, what is this film? Now, Schadenfreude discovers that Glickenstein is dead, and retrieves Igor's blueprint of the monster, while Igor realizes that the monster's evil bone in her finger isn't working, thus not committing any evil deeds. And then she starts naming herself...
Eva. What?
Wait, hold on. When did this movie come out again? Wait a minute.
Eva. Eva. Eva.
Look, this is probably a coincidence, but the fact that both of these movies came out in 2008 and both have characters that have seemingly very close names to each other is pretty freaky. I'm just saying. So the game decided to give her a brainwash and sculpt her brain to have more evil tendencies, which, I gotta admit, I love this concept of a car wash, but having that horror element to it with brainwashing. Nice touch. Too bad Brain ruins this idea by having his own brainwash and switching channels on Eva, turning her into an inspiring actress after watching a documentary.
Acting? Who changed the channel?
You done fucked it up.
Good thing Igor snaps at him.
You made my monster an actress!
So, with Eva's new personality change, Igor tries to persuade Eva to join the science fair by convincing her it's actually an audition, albeit a more deranged version of Annie. There's this one scene I particularly like with Igor and Eva discussing the importance of good and evil. It does show that how much Igor wants to be loved by being an evil scientist, deep down he has a heart, something Eva pushes him to be. Among the crazy chaos, it's nice to have these bittersweet moments sprinkled in.
I will not be beaten by a hunchback, pot-bellied, bulgy-eyed runt.
I think he's kinda cute.
Girl, you just said he was ugly when you were in one of your transformations. Red flag over here.
I got a woman as big as a house, yes sir.
Okay, another thing that I admire here is the use of Louis Prima songs here. You would think with a film in 2008 they would be cramming in pop radio songs, but they actually go for a more classic New Orleans style jazz theme that just fits perfectly for this dark, eerie film, all done by the orangutan king himself. Now, we get more heartfelt moments between Igor and Eva, even with Scamper and Brain now entering the mix, wishing that they weren't evil either.
Yeah, lucky us.
I don't feel lucky.
This all culminates with Schadenfreude transporting Igor into his castle, persuading him to join on his crusade as king, with him being the new lead evil scientist.
So how do we get this evil bone up and running, huh? We kick it, we slap it, we take it to the movies, call it Irene?
Wow, okay buddy, really not being the abusive allegations here. So, with some quick thinking, Igor manages to escape, and Jacqueline finds out about Eva's personality. Thus, Schadenfreude finds a way to persuade Eva to come with him to the science fair, while the king finds out about Glickenstein's death and throws Igor into the recycling plant.
Oh!
Well, the end. Nah, don't worry, they escape.
I am literally so unfathomably angry.
But upon escaping, Igor realizes that the king's castle is actually a weather ray that causes malaria to be dark and stormy all the time. Okay, wait, what? How does this beacon cause malaria to be dark all the time? I mean, not all of these clouds are thunderous, right? Not all of these clouds are gonna make the sky dark, right? Look, I'm no meteorologist, but this seems kinda dumb. Why go through all of this trouble to kill your own crops and then decide, well, we gotta make money, evil scientist away? This doesn't make any sense. This little rock can't be that powerful. Whew, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, Schadenfreude finally gets Eva to activate her evil bone, and becomes a killing machine, destroying everyone's inventions at the Colosseum, including this awesome teddy bear, what the heck? Schadenfreude immediately kicks Malbert off his throne, and is just like, yeah, I'm the new king now. This is like a monarchy, right? Doesn't he have to, like, literally die before anyone takes the throne? Well, okay, I take that back. So, Malbert gets exposed and gets Minecraft, Schadenfreude falls down, for some reason, Jacqueline was secretly an Igor this whole time, so she's a traitor to her own kind, and Eva goes back to normal, claiming Igor is now her boyfriend? Which definitely feels like a forced resolution here. I don't know, I could kinda care less about this plot point. So, with that all said and done, Igor finally gets the respect he deserves, without having to be evil, becoming president of Malaria, and now transforming the Colosseum into a musical showcase for Eva. And Malaria is now rid of the evil darkness forever, now entering a newer, brighter village. Wait, what is this? Oh my gosh, that script about me praising Louis Prima is gone now. Why did you throw this in the credits? Alright, so Igor does have a lot of plot threads that don't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I've already established the whole malaria weather ray thing, but I'll admit I think Igor and Eva being love interests for each other kind of comes out of nowhere. I do think it would have been better if Igor acknowledges Eva's beauty through her kindness, but still remained a friend, as do Eva with Igor just being respected as being more than a giant monster. But I mean, that's just me. I will say the visual style of this movie is immediately striking, embracing a gothic, somewhat Tim Burton-esque aesthetic without simply copying it. The character designs are exaggerated and distinctive, from the elongated limbs of the scientists to the varied forms of their monstrous creations. Malaria itself is wonderfully conceived, with its gloomy architecture, steampunk-inspired technology, and quirky details that make it feel distinct. The commitment to its visual identity sets it apart from many of 2008's more brightly colored, conventionally designed contemporaries, like Kung Fu Panda and Horton Hears the Who. Also, Igor doesn't shy away from dark humor, and it does so with a surprising amount of wit. The jokes are more visual, poking fun at the cliches of villainy, scientific ambition, and societal expectations. It manages to be generally funny without resorting to a lowest common denominator gags. I mean, Scamper's snarky deliveries are pretty much the highlights of this movie, and the blind orphans come back in the finale too. Beneath the quirky exterior, Igor explores some surprisingly mature themes too. It's a story about breaking free from preconceived notions and societal roles. Despite being told his entire life that he's destined to be nothing more than an assistant, Igor yearns for more. Eva, a gentle giant made from spare parts, challenges the idea that evil is inherent in creation. It champions individuality, self-acceptance, and the power of kindness. These themes are woven into the narrative organically, providing genuine emotional resonance without being preachy. The character arcs, especially Igor's and Eva's, are well executed and satisfying. And my goodness, the voice acting is exceptional, bringing immense personality to the roles. John Cusack as Igor delivers a very humble performance, providing the character with intelligence and quiet determination. Molly Shannon as Eva perfectly captures her innocent and kind nature. Steve Buscemi and Sean Hayes have excellent comedic chemistry in their characters. And Eddie Izzard as Dr. Schadenfreude is absolutely delightful in this egomaniacal role. The talent assembled here truly elevates the material.
It's a big step getting a pet together.
Come on, after living with Brain and Scamper, everything will seem like a breeze.
So, if Igor has all these strengths, why did it fall into obscurity? Well, compared to the marketing blitzes of its competitors, Igor's promotional campaign felt relatively subdued. And as a production from Exodus Film Group, it lacked the brand recognition and distribution power of major studios, even if MGM helped contribute to it. I guess you can say its darker, more satirical tone might have been a harder sell to general audiences, especially those expecting a more conventional animated family film. I mean, 2008 was a tough year to stand out in the animation market, but I think this is a call for rediscovery. Igor is a film that deserves far more recognition than it received. It's got original storytelling, creative animation, and intelligent humor. A refreshing alternative to the more mainstream animated fare that possesses a charm that lingers long after viewing. If you're looking for an animated film that's a little different, a little darker, and a lot smarter than you might remember, I urge you to revisit or discover Igor. It's a truly underrated animated gem, and it's high time we pulled it out of the shadows and gave it the appreciation that it deserves. You know, at least around this Halloween season.
Hans, you're wearing this backwards. What are you, blind? Let's switch this around.